Some songs don't just come from inspiration, they come from chaos, from heartbreak, from accidents, from fights, from jealousy, from moments so intense they practically demanded to be turned into music. The 1970s gave us unforgettable hits, but behind many of those songs are stories far stranger, darker, and more dramatic than most people ever realize. These weren't just catchy tunes drifting out of car radios. They were real emotions, real events, and sometimes real disasters, frozen in time and set to music. Tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the wildest true stories behind 70s hit songs, the ones you've heard 1,000 times, but probably never knew the truth behind. Let's start with a song that's been debated, decoded, and argued about for decades. Hotel California.
There's a highway, cool wind in my hair.
From the moment it hit the airwaves, people knew something about this song felt different. It wasn't just a hit, it was an atmosphere, a slow descent into something glamorous, unsettling, and impossible to escape. And that wasn't an accident. The Eagles have always been careful about explaining the song too clearly, but over the years, they've revealed enough to paint a vivid picture. Hotel California wasn't about one place. It was about a lifestyle, a warning wrapped in a melody. It reflected the excess, temptation, and moral decay they witnessed as young musicians suddenly swallowed by fame in Los Angeles. The hotel wasn't real, but the feeling was. The illusion of success, the trap of indulgence. The idea that once you arrive, leaving becomes nearly impossible. And yes, the rumors went wild. Cult theories, satanic panic, secret meanings. But the truth was simpler and scarier. It was about losing yourself while thinking you'd finally found everything. Next, we move to a song so ambitious it almost never existed. Bohemian Rhapsody.
Up to the skies and sea.
When Freddie Mercury brought this song to Queen, the band and the record label were concerned. 6 minutes long, no traditional chorus, genre shifts, operatic sections, rock sections, ballad sections. It sounded like multiple songs stitched together by pure audacity. The label begged them to shorten it. Radio wouldn't play it, they said. It would confuse listeners, they said. Freddie didn't budge. The band recorded the song in layers, hundreds of vocal overdubs, pushing technology to its limits. The meaning? Freddie never fully explained it, which only fueled the mystery. Some believe it reflected internal struggles with identity. Others see it as a dramatic fantasy. What's undeniable is that it was deeply personal. Against every rule in the industry, Bohemian Rhapsody became one of the biggest songs in history, a gamble that paid off in spectacular fashion. Now let's turn to a song that sounds like a country fried story, because it basically is one. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Home from Candletop, been 2 weeks gone and he thought he'd stop and wait.
This song tells a dark tale of injustice, betrayal, and revenge. And while it isn't a direct retelling of a single crime, it was inspired by the kind of small-town scandals that circulated through the American South for generations. The songwriter grew up hearing stories about corrupt sheriffs, wrongful convictions, and secrets buried deep in rural communities. The song taps into that folklore energy, the idea that justice doesn't always work the way it should, and sometimes the truth comes too late. What shocked people most was how upbeat the melody felt compared to how brutal the story actually was. Murder, lies, and wrongful execution, all wrapped in a tune that sounded radio-friendly enough to hum along to. That contrast made the song unforgettable. Next, a song that became legendary partly because of timing. Me and Bobby McGee.
Feeling near as faded as my jeans.
Originally written by Chris Christopherson, the song drifted modestly through the music world until Janis Joplin recorded it. Her version wasn't just a cover, it was a transformation. Janis recorded the song shortly before her death. When it was released posthumously, it took on an entirely new emotional weight. Suddenly, lyrics about freedom, love, and loss felt prophetic, haunting. Listeners didn't just hear a song, they heard a farewell. It became her biggest hit, but she never lived to see it. That knowledge forever changed how the song was experienced. Now let's talk about a song that raised eyebrows long before that was normal. Lola.
You drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola.
When the Kinks released this song, it caused immediate controversy. The story was based on a real encounter in a London club, an experience that blurred lines most pop songs of the era avoided entirely. At a time when radio was conservative and cautious, Lola openly explored gender ambiguity with humor, curiosity, and surprisingly little judgment. The BBC still found a way to object, banning the song over a single lyric referencing Coca-Cola. The band re-recorded the line just to get it played. The irony, the song ended up being groundbreaking, not just musically but culturally. It introduced conversations mainstream music wasn't ready for and did it with a grin. Now for a story that is less scandalous and far more tragic. The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. This song wasn't symbolic, it wasn't allegorical. It was a retelling of a real maritime disaster that claimed 29 lives on Lake Superior in 1975. Gordon Lightfoot read about the sinking in a magazine and was deeply moved by the human loss. He approached the song with respect, accuracy, and restraint. Every verse honors the sailors, the ship, and the cold power of nature. The families of the crew were initially unsure how to feel until they heard the song. Many later said it helped keep the memory of their loved ones alive. It wasn't exploitation, it was memorial. Few songs manage to balance storytelling and reverence the way this one does. Now let's switch gears, because not every wild story is tragic. Some are just dramatic. Copacabana.
She was a showgirl with yellow feathers in her hair.
On the surface, it sounds like a glamorous story set in a flashy nightclub. But beneath the glitter is a story of jealousy, violence, and heartbreak. The song was inspired by real stories of crime and passion tied to famous nightclubs. While the characters were fictional, the emotions weren't. It was written like a short film, complete with rising tension, a shocking turning point, and an ending that lingers. That contrast between upbeat rhythm and dark narrative made it unforgettable. You danced to it while listening to a story about love destroyed. Now we arrive at one of the most analyzed songs of all time, American Pie.
And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people.
Don McLean spent years writing this song, filling it with symbolism, references, and coded meanings. At its core was grief, mourning the 1959 plane crash that killed Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper. But the song became something bigger. It turned into a reflection on the loss of innocence in American culture, a musical timeline of a changing nation. McLean has famously refused to explain every lyric, which only fueled decades of debate. What mattered wasn't solving the puzzle, it was feeling the loss, and millions did. Now let's talk about a song that traveled cultures before conquering the charts. I Shot the Sheriff.
It was I who shot the sheriff, but I.
Written by Bob Marley, the song wasn't about literal violence. It was about oppression, injustice, and resistance. The sheriff represented authority figures who abused power. When Eric Clapton covered it, the song reached a massive new audience. Some listeners misunderstood its meaning, but the core message remained intact. It became a rare example of a protest song crossing genres and borders without losing its soul. And finally, we end with a breakup so intense, it fueled an entire album. Go Your Own Way.
How can I when you won't take it from me?
This song wasn't just about a breakup, it was written during one. Fleetwood Mac was falling apart emotionally while creating one of the most successful albums ever made. The lyrics were pointed, personal, painfully honest, and the person they were about had to sing backup vocals on the track. The tension in the band was real, and you can hear it in the music. That raw emotion is why the song still resonates. It wasn't polished pain, it was lived-in heartbreak. And that's the common thread among all these songs. They lasted because they were real. They came from moments that mattered, moments that hurt, moments that changed lives. The 70s didn't just give us great music, it gave us stories worth telling. If one of these songs surprised you or made you hear it differently, tell us in the comments. And if you love uncovering the hidden stories behind classic hits, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep coming back. Because the music may be familiar, but the truth behind it often isn't. And as always, keep that turntable spinning.